This could be huge for the Edmonton Oilers as they bring in a familiar veteran presence on a PTO to the Oilers rosters. They kick off training camp earlier today. All that and more on Oilers Digest, all the news, all the rumors, all the breakdowns. But first, 87% of you have not yet subscribed to the channel. Make sure you do so as we get into the start of preseason. Yes, the shortest yet longest Oiler offseason is drawing to a close, and we'll have all the coverage of all the preseason games leading up into the regular season. But without further ado, Hoff on the right foot. Yes, the Oilers did bring in Mike Hoffman on a PTO. The 34-year-old has recorded almost 230 goals and 259 assists in 745 career NHL games. Frank Saravalli from Daily Faceoff says Edmonton was looking for an extra body in camp with the injury to Carl Berglund and Penticton. Of course, he suffered that injury against the Winnipeg Jets in their last rookie camp game. They wanted to keep training camp numbers constant as projected, but in the meantime, Hoffman gets a look. So, PTOs, very little risk to them. If they do well, sure, league minimum. If they don't, then send them off packing. But Mike Hoffman bringing in a veteran to sort of create competition for the rookies, all the better. As you can see there, the Oilers do have the 8 preseason games, and they do need a minimum of 8 veterans in each game, so Hoffman boosts the numbers. As you can see there, they do have that split squad game against Calgary on September 23rd, so again, they do need the minimum amount of veterans, 8. So again, numbers, bringing in veterans, the more the merrier for the Edmonton Oilers. Again, it creates competition for the younger players. We'll have coverage starting on September 22nd against the Jets, all the way to October 4th against the Vancouver Canucks. Of course, there is that that 5-day break in between the end of the preseason and the start of the regular season. Preseason ends for the Oilers on October 4th, but they do open up against the Winnipeg Jets on October 9th. Going back to Mike Hoffman here, not a whole lot to write home about except for his power play numbers, but with the Oilers, he won't really have much room in my eyes. Again, it's just bringing an extra body for camp there. Of course, he was with the Ottawa Senators for 4 seasons, Florida for 2, and then St. Louis and San Jose for 1 each, with a stop in Montreal for 2. And like I said, with the power play, he did have success on the power play. As you can see there, his best season was with the Florida Panthers in 2019, 35 points on the power play, which was half of his regular point total that season with 70. So, of course, in his prime, fantastic on the power play, but dwindling, of course, with San Jose, only 6 points in 66 games with the Sharks. The Sharks weren't the strongest team, but, you kind of expect Mike Hoffman, one of the key veterans on that team, to sort of produce along with Erik Karlsson, but didn't exactly seem to happen. But, San Jose as a whole wasn't as strong. And on the left side there, he can play both sides, but you can see there's a bit of a logjam on the right side, with guys competing for bottom 6 spots like Connor Brown, Corey Perry, and Vasily Podkolzin. With the guys on the outside like James Hamblin, Drake Jula, and Matvey Petrov. But on the left side, of course, with no Evander Kane, Raphael Lavoie, Roby Arvente, James Stefan, all key names that can compete with Mike Hoffman on that left side there. And of course, even like a guy like Matt Savoy can on the wing there can provide sort of competition with Mike Hoffman. Adding on here, Hoffman's best pet is as a power play specialist on the second unit, and even near the end of his career on the worst team in the NHL, Hoffman could still provide a little offense with the man advantage. Of course, seeing the numbers that I just provided wasn't a whole lot, but it wasn't nothing. At the very least, his offensive presence can provide extra competition for a player like Matt Savoy, like I just mentioned, in his fight to make the big league club. Given the Oilers' organizational reputation among players, we could also see Mike Hoffman stick around in Bakersfield as a veteran leader. And for the young guys in Bakersfield, that exactly wouldn't be the worst option. For locker room guys, there are better options, but Mike Hoffman, not the worst. And the second power play unit with the guys they're already on the wings, like Victor Arvidsson and Jeff Skinner, I don't see a room for I don't see a room for Mike Hoffman on the second power play unit. Sure, the bottom 6 could use a little offensive spark, but with his all offense, no defense in his game, I don't see any room for Mike Hoffman on this team. If he, manages to, do something a little effective, sure, that's more than I expected out of him. But Mike Hoffman, brought in to boost numbers. I'm sure with the injury to Berglund, if he wasn't injured, then we wouldn't see Mike Hoffman invited on a PTO. I know the Oilers, they were rumored to bring in 2 PTOs before the season, and, you know, he was the second, the first being Travis Dermott on defense. But that's enough about Hoffman. Kane, you believe it? Yes, there was some news regarding Evander Kane and Darnell Nurse, especially at the Stan Bowman the season opening presser. From Daniel Nugent-Bowman, the athletic writer for the Oilers, from Stan Bowman's presser, Evander Kane will have surgery soon. No timeline for return, but he'll be out in quotes here, a while. There is no plan or need to put Kane on LTIR right now, and the emphasis that they're not putting Kane on LTIR is on accruing cap space for a later season help, which is more than likely adding someone at the trade deadline. Also from Daniel Nugent-Bowman here, Darnell Nurse won't be available until later in camp. He says we want to be cautious. Of course, last year they had some injury problems, not just in training camp, but heading into the season. Of course, Mattias Ekholm did not start the season with the Edmonton Oilers, and I'm sure the Oilers want to avoid that mistake yet again with Darnell Nurse. And there's no talks with pending RFA Evan Bouchard yet, but you know, of course, when the season progresses, I'm sure they will begin talking on that, and also a Connor McDavid extension as well, too. You got to keep that in the back of your mind. Many have forgotten, but many also haven't. And then lastly here from Nugent Bowman, no concrete plan to replace Brad Holland. Of course, Brad Holland yesterday was let go as assistant GM. There's no plans to replace him right now and fill an AGM and director of scouting roles. That will be done in the weeks ahead as Stan Bowman continues to fill out his front office with the Edmonton Oilers. And lastly here, I'm sure you're concerned about Evander Kane, but he said he'll have surgery in the next couple days to repair both abductors, 2 hernias, and 2 abdominal tears. So you can see that's what he played with for the entire season with the Edmonton Oilers. I mean, that's just that is something else. Kane said he felt something was wrong in late October, possibly around the time of the Heritage Classic. Of course, Connor McDavid also had injury problems before the Heritage Classic. Some say he was rushed back too quickly for that game, and they may have been right, but I mean, Connor McDavid still put up world-beating numbers, and it got worse by December and December/January. Could this cost him the whole season? Evander Kane said, "I certainly hope not." And it'd be huge to lose Evander Kane for an entire season, of course, in the playoffs. When he is on his game, he is he fills a phenomenal role for the Oilers. Of course, a great two-way player you saw in the 2022 playoffs, that playoff run. Evander Kane on a line with Leon Draisaitl and Connor McDavid. Leon Draisaitl on one leg, no less. He was phenomenal. To have Evander Kane healthy, back for the playoffs. I mean, obviously, do not rush him back, but if he's back healthy, of course, he won't be the same player as he once was. Of course, he had that wrist injury in November 2022. Of course, I'm not expecting him to be the same player as he was in his peak, in his prime, but to have him back at all would be huge for the Edmonton Oilers. Let me know down in the comments what you think about the Mike Hoffman situation and what you think about the Darnell Nurse and Evander Kane situation. That's it for today's episode. We'll see you again tomorrow. Have a fantastic day. I'm Matt.